Afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. I'm going to take the first couple minutes, and Danny and I are going to work out a couple of technical snafus these first couple minutes, and then we'll kind of jump right in. First and foremost, Danny, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. I see us testing the chat feature. Okay, perfect. I appreciate everybody's patience. This first week has been somewhat of a soft launch for us, but if you were able to join us on Wednesday for our first stream, what we did was we started a Let's Build of the comic book character comparison dashboard that we released on YouTube last Friday. And essentially in the dashboard, we are giving people the opportunity to take a look at two different characters, one hero and one villain, and then give you the opportunity to actually compare the overall stats of each of those different characters, and then take a look at their superpower matrix, which gives you the opportunity to kind of compare and contrast each of the different powers that particular hero has. Or villain has. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building on top of the work that we had on Wednesday, and we're going to be adding another tab to this dashboard. We're also going to be running some SQL queries to do a few different joins so that we can enhance some of the data, synthesize some of the information that was in some of the tables. And when we get into those, we'll kind of go back and we'll do a little bit of review of what we were taking a look at on Wednesday as well. So a couple things as we get started. Danny, how are we looking on the actual YouTube volume? Can people hear us?
It sounds good. Yep, the
Okay.
audio is good. The delay is still kind of there, but we can talk about that after.
Yeah, that's a story for a different day. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at some of the data sets that are involved in this particular dashboard. So here at the top, we have two data sets that are in this dashboard right here. We have character stats and the superhero's power matrix. What we did on Wednesday was we actually configured a few different dashboard parameters. If you've been keeping up with our content and some of the news, dashboard parameters were new feature at 5.6 and became enhanced at 5.7. So we wanted to highlight some of the enhancements that came to light at 5.7, and some of those were actually here in the dashboard pane, which is on the left-hand side of your dashboard if you're following along at home. So there's two parameters that we're using in this dashboard. We have a heroes and a villains parameter. We're going to go ahead and make another one when we make this new tab so that you can kind of get a little bit of a feel for what that process is. And then we'll get into some of the queries and building out the next tab of the dashboard. Sound good? Sweet. All right, let's do it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over here. Down here at the bottom of your dashboard, you'll actually see, if I move away from that, so you'll see we have like a page 2 right here, and this first page is this character comparison. That's what the actual tab that we're looking at right now in the full view. And then page 2 right here will be a blank slate, a new canvas that we can work on. So let's actually open up one of these other tabs, and let's rename this one. Let's call this one publication history, because what we're going to be looking at today is actually a publication history for each of the characters that were in the comic book character database that we pulled from Kaggle. So let's go ahead and rename this one. We're going to call this publication history. All right, let's go ahead and save as always. And let's take a look at a couple of the data sets that we're going to use for this one. Whoops, let me come down here. All right. So in this case, what we're going to be looking at is our data manager here at the top of Immerse inside of OmniSci. And so these are all the different data sets that we pulled from Kaggle. And Kaggle, if you're unaware, is an open data science community website that has data sets and notebooks and all sorts of different stuff that you can use to build out new data projects. And so one of the data sets that we actually found on Kaggle was an open database that had all sorts of different stuff in it, like Marvel and DC and Image Comic and even some Star Wars and some anime characters inside of this database with when they were established, their overall powers, quantified, and also like a superpower matrix and a number of other things, but based on the issues and publication history that they've been a part of. So let's actually take a look at a couple of those, and then we're actually going to synthesize some of those data sets for this next dashboard. So the tables that we're going to be using today in today's case is going to be the comics data set. And so what this comics data set is, and you can see like the actual columns here on the right hand side, is going to give us an actual comic ID that we'll use in the SQL joins that we'll do. Then we have the title for each of the comics, a little description, and the issue number for that particular series. The other thing that we're going to be looking at is the characters database or data set, and this one has a character ID and a name for the character, and then there's a bridge between the two, and that is this not this one, characters to comics. And so this has a comic ID and a character ID. So that's going to be our link and our bridge between the characters data set and the comics data set. And what we're going to layer on top of that is going to be this Marvel DC characters table right here, which has a little bit of about their identity, some other kind of high level attribution about the character, their eye color, hair color, things like that. So let's jump over to the SQL editor, and we can actually run some of these quick queries that we're going to use for today. And what we have here, and I'm actually going to pull this, and I'll copy this in. I have this over here in Sublime Text, and we'll copy this and we'll work through it together. So in this first query, what we're going to be doing, and we could do this in a set of subqueries in one larger query, but I think what we'll do for today is we'll actually walk through each step of what would be in that larger query that has all of these steps in it, and we'll actually just do create table as for each of the tables, and then bring them together, just so we could walk through a couple of the steps of what's going on. So in this first query, we're actually going to be creating a table. So this is just using a CTAS or create table as common SQL query for all of your experienced database folks. If you're new to this kind of work, it's a basic query of creating a table based on a selection from other tables. So in this case, we have our select call, and we're actually going to be pulling the character ID and the name from our characters data set. So this is the character and the name. We're going to be pulling those. I'm going to rename the name column from the characters table as character name, and then we're also going to be pulling the comic ID from the comics table, but we're going to be using the bridge first so that we can essentially bring that comic ID column into this new table. And we're going to be doing that on an inner join so that we can get all possible combinations of the two tables together. Danny, do you have any questions on that specifically? I know that like you're kind of breaking into this, so this is like I think a cool opportunity for us to work through some of these questions. Do you have any questions on that?
No, this all looks pretty good to me. Yeah,
okay, cool.
I'm following. Yep.
All right, so and what we're actually going to be joining on is the character ID, which is both in the characters table as well as the characters to comics table. So when we run this, we get a new output here, which is this character master pre, which is the name of the table we just gave, which has the character ID, the character name, and the comic ID. If we actually come back here to the data manager and we refresh, we'll see that new table, and you can actually see all of the different combinations here. We can see that table is a little bit larger than the previous one. Okay, so then let's go on to the next query. And then this one's going to build on top of the query that we just ran. And what this is going to be doing is it's going to be doing another inner join, except we're going to be bringing in to this next table. We're actually going to be bringing in all of that publication history that we were looking at before. So we'll have the comic ID, which we brought here, but then we're also going to be pulling from that comics table the description, the title, the issue number, and so on. And in this time, we're actually going to be joining on the comic ID. This way, we get that full cross section from those different tables. So let's go ahead and run that one. And then in this case, you'll see the new table here, which has everything inside of it. And if we double check on our data manager, you'll see that new selection here. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to do, and this is something we didn't do in the video last week. This is something that this is new for this week and this Let's Build, and that's we're actually going to instead of using two tables in the dashboard like we did for last Friday's video, we're actually going to be synthesizing these two tables together, or this table that we just created and the attribution table, so that we can get everything into one. We don't have to do this for the work, but I thought it would be interesting to kind of build on what we were looking at before. And what this one is going to do is it's actually going to bring a number of other attributes to the fold. So let's just copy this in and we'll take a look. So in this case, this will be our final master table. So it has everything that we just built out, which is going to be our character ID down to title. But now we're also going to be including the character alignment. So this is going to be things like whether they're good, bad, neutral, or perhaps I think the other one, there was only a couple of these, was reformed criminal. And then things like appearance, eye color, the number of appearances that they've had, their gender, hair color, known identity, things like that. Okay, and we'll get more into those as we build out the dashboard. And then this time we're actually going to be doing an inner join on the character name to the name in the other table. Now, what I will say, we'll kind of preface this going into the into this query, is that we know that there isn't a 1-for-1 on the character name to the name table, or the character name in the character master pre-2 and the name that's in the comic character list. We know that those aren't 1-for-1, so we're actually probably going to lose some issues. But for the sake of this exercise, it'll give us the opportunity to have everything in one data set, and it'll be pretty cool when we actually build out the parameters for this dashboard, that we'll be able to do just one filter instead of multiple filters. So let's go ahead and run this right here. Okay, and we'll actually just drop these initial two tables because we don't need them anymore. And normally we wouldn't even need to do this if we were doing it all within one query that had some subqueries to it. But there we drop both of those tables, and now that we come back here, we should actually see that we have one table for comic, this character master table here, which has everything inside of it. All right, cool. All right, now that we have those queries taken care of, let's actually go ahead and jump back to our dashboard. And actually, before we do that, let me refresh this, make sure that everything that we just did is taken into consideration. And let's start building out some charts. Before we do that real quick, let me double check something. I want to make sure that we can use that same parameter that we were doing before. We're actually going to build a new parameter, because the other, if you were with us on Wednesday, we actually broke the parameters out into heroes and villains. This time we just want one straight up parameter that we can do for all characters here. So we're going to add a new parameter. These are the two that we built on Wednesday. We're going to create a new one. And this one's also going to be column value. And for those that didn't have a chance to meet with us or come and join us on Wednesday, basically a parameter, all it's doing is it's giving us the opportunity to be able to provide an input that can be applied to a filter or a chart title, or to XY axis names, so on and so forth. There's a number of different ways. It can even be built into some URL parameters as well. We're not going to get into that today, but we'll show some pretty neat applications for the parameter. So in this case, we're going to do this parameter. You can do number, custom, a full column, or column value. In this case, we're going to do column value. We'll call this character name. And then this will be off of the character master source. So this is going to be the source is the table that we just created in our queries. And it's going to be based on character name. And default value, we'll just make it Spider-Man. And we can add this to the current tab, which when we add it to the current tab, it's going to add it to the sidebar or this little parameters pull out here. It'll add it directly there that we can then add it. You see how it just popped up over here. So we can close this out, and we can actually add this to the dashboard itself. So now we see the character name here. It gives us a kind of a nice little drop down that we can come through here and actually look and select individual characters that we want to learn a little bit more about. See where they've been, when they were created by their creators, maybe Stan Lee, for instance. So now that we have our parameter in place, we can actually start to build out some different charts. The first one that we'll do is we'll actually build out let's build out a little bar chart here. So we're going to use this bar chart, and we're going to point to the character master that we just created. And this will be character name, and the width will be number of appearances. We want to basically we're going to sort by the number of appearances that character has been a part. We'll actually do sum of appearances, and you can see some of the kind of the disparity between some of these these different. See, and that's not. Oh, we want to do average. We want to do average. We don't do total. So this is because we did those inner joins in the queries. It gave us all possible combinations. So we actually just want to use the average, which will give us kind of that base level. So in this case, it should be, if I'm not mistaken, let me double check. Yeah, so this is about just over 4,000 appearances. And what's cool is we can actually just give this little title. We'll do this characters by appearance. So is appearance with an A or an E? I think it's
the first letter, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Appearance, right? Google will tell me. There we go. Yeah, we're good. See, we could spell too, We'll give this one straight up color. Let's just give it all blue on this one. All right. So that's what we have here. And I think for right now, we may come back and actually apply the parameter to this as a filter. But for right now, I just wanted to get that one into play, and we'll come in and we'll actually open up a new table chart that we will use it on here in a second. So this is going to be table, and in this one, we're actually going to add a few of the columns that are in the character master to a table view, so that we can actually look at because if you remember, we have the title, the description, issue number. It'd be cool to have that in a little table, so that when we filter down to a specific hero or a character, then we get to look at all the kind of the publication history. So in this table, we're going to add a dimension. The first dimension we'll add will be the name. So let's go ahead and grab that. I'm actually going to do it this way, like we've been doing, just so I can add the exact name that I want. So this will be name. And so you can see like a drop down here across the board. Let's actually add this as issue table view. And let's go ahead and we'll do title next. And so you can see the actual title of each of the issues across the board for that character, which is pretty sweet. We'll come in. Let's add the issue number right here, and we'll just call this issue. Give it like that. And we don't want to see it automatically, because the column type that we had for issue number was small int. It's actually going to bin the numbers by default, but we don't want to bin the numbers at all. We want the straight the individual number that is within that column and row for the issue. So we can come in here. We can actually turn the binning off. So when we turn the binning off, you can see that actually gives us the individual issue. Some of these, like you could see for like this Marvel Masterworks Volume 2 hardcover, it's not an issue. That's typically with those, it's a collected edition. So it actually has a number of issues in it, and those typically don't fall within the same work. So let's go ahead and add, the last thing we'll add to this one will be our description right here. I'm actually going to bring this up here. And the reason I'm doing this is I am very particular, I guess is the is the nice way to say about the actual column headers in our table view here. So now we have, let's actually do, I guess we want to leave them all, even if there's no nulls. If we want to do like no nulls, you could see how we can get rid of any descriptions that don't have or any rows that don't have an actual description. But for the sake of this, like, let's just keep everything there. Some of the different tables there, or some of the different records there, didn't have an actual description for the name. So that's this one. Let's go ahead and add that parameter that we had before as a filter, so that this way, when you actually select the character that you want to learn more about, all you have to do is from that drop down, Spider-Man or Peter Parker, may actually have them separated in this case, and then it'll show you all of the issues. That's maybe some way that we could think about bringing those together. So this will be character name, and we will. So the shorthand for actually pulling up all the parameters is just going to be $ squiggly brackets. And you see now all the parameters that we have within this dashboard come up. So in this case, we're going to use the new one that we made today, which was our character name, which defaults to Spider-Man. So now you can see immediately here while we're... what is that? I immediately saw this. It caught me off guard. This is Blue's Clues. Oh, it says Big Clues. I read it as Blue's Clues. Because I don't know if you all saw our boy Steve on Twitter this past week.
Yeah.
He made a reappearance. He reemerged.
Yes.
He reemerged.
Like a 20-second reappearance.
It was 2 minutes. He gave
really?
He gave a raucous speech.
I only saw that little clip where he was like,
Yeah, I left kind of abruptly.
All right, so we have our new table here. I don't know. What do you think? Should we use the parameter here as well?
yes.
Okay, let's do that. So, like we were talking about, you could use parameters in the dashboard title, the chart titles, the axis names, the filters, all over the place. And this is a really easy way to make the dashboards more usable for a broader audience. So, like, not everybody that's going to come in and build dashboards is going to have, or use dashboards, I should say, is going to have the ability to come in and do this type of configuration or set it up in such a way that it makes it really user-friendly for consumers of dashboards to get to come into the dashboard, get the information they need, and get out of there, right? So let's go ahead and use the same shorthand that we were before. $ squiggly bracket. We got our character name here. Boom. All right, that's Spider-Man. You can see that populated. Let's apply and save. All right, and we're actually going to bring this over here, and then we'll pull this down to here. Cool. Now we got a nice little. Let's look at what that looks like in action. We can actually let's pick a new character. Let's do Iron Man, and you'll see all of Iron Man's comics pull up. I thought that was kind of funny that they had that as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, as two separate characters in there. But again, we didn't create the database. We're using an open character database.
It was probably from before he got bit by the spider, like before he became Spider-Man.
Origin stories, baby.
Yep.
All right, what about Hulk?
Those count too.
They do. They do count. They do count. All right, cool. Now, the impetus for us actually making this dashboard to begin with was to learn more about Shang-Chi. Coming into the Ten Rings. Did you get to see it?
I didn't. I've been so busy with moving.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Oh, really? Yeah. I heard you said you didn't watch it on Wednesday. I was like, what? I thought you was going to watch it on opening day.
I wanted to, but I'm still being pretty COVID conscious with the kids.
Yeah.
So, we haven't. We might wait. It's like I was hoping that it was actually going to be, released on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah.
Same day.
Too.
Because I would have watched it probably multiple times by then. Because everything that I've seen thus far has been like just really positive, and people seem to really, really dig it. So
yeah, same.
All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually build out. Excuse me. We're going to build out an alignment chart. Let me save this. All right. Let's add this new chart. And we'll use the same source, which is our character master, and we'll use a bar again. You don't have to. There's probably a few different ways that we can do the same one. You could definitely use a pie, probably a bubble. There's probably a couple different ways we can go about this, but I think for the sake of this, it's pretty simple if we just go about doing it this way. So this is going to be alignment. And we will do this based off of just the number of records. So this will just be the number of, and you can see all of those. We do not want nulls on this one. And we'll do this one all red. And we'll just do this one as alignment. Perfect. All right. I'm going to leave this one as is. Like I was saying before, we might come back at the end here if it makes sense and actually make all of these, give all of these parameters. But I think for right now, so if we go actually bad, what does that do for us? That should remove, I was about to say, it should remove Shang-Chi. We should be able to look for somebody like Doctor Doom now, though. He's not in there. It's probably a naming convention thing that was when we did that cross join. Let's see, or the inner join. Colossus? Yeah, there we go. So there's Colossus there. All right. I'm gonna remove all these. All right. Save, and let's come in. We're gonna make one. We'll do this one on identity. So we'll do this one for our bubble chart. And in this case, what we're gonna be looking at is like whether or not the character, actually has like a known identity. Or some other, what is it? It was like known, non-dual, public. I think it was things like that.
Yep.
All right. Let's take a look at this a little bit closer. So what we're going to do on this one, we'll point to identity. Let me just search for it. That's right. I renamed it as known identity on this one. All right, and then this one is going to be on our x-axis. We're going to do count of records. Y-axis, we're going to do this. We'll do appearances like this, and then for the size of the actual bubble, we'll do the count as well. So those should be, there we go. Yeah, we don't want nulls, and so you can only see like two. There's a very small number of these. Identity unknown or known to authorities, but not to anybody else. And then we'll give this a name. We'll do identity by appearances. I'm actually going to leave the... let's see. What if we make this a little bit bigger here, like that? Maybe that'll help. Go back to the smallest one. No, that's too small. Play around with your dashboards, people. All right. I think that'll be good enough for right now. Let me make this a little bit smaller. There we go. All right, let's apply that. And let's move that up into here. All right. Save. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to pull a character table view, and this is going to give us like an idea of all that other attribution that we added to the first to these tables when we synthesize them together. So we're going to do another table, and this time we are going to pull the name, similar to before. We'll pull the eye color. Let's do. Actually, we'll do this one as well. All right. Let's pull this out. Nice. We'll probably see a few different, yeah. You see how there's different variations here? So there's like a Luke Cage that has brown eyes and a Luke Cage that has green eyes. That's what you get with the multiverse.
Crazy.
All right, gender. I keep doing that. Let me come over here. Right. What else do we want to pull? The actual status of the character. So this is whether they are still with us or not. At least in terms of the comic book, if they're living or deceased. You could actually see, like here, there's a Luke Cage that's no longer with us and one that is. If we saw, if there was, let me see if we could find. Oh, we'll do it when we can do this from the when we pull out to the full dashboard. I want to see if there's like a few. There should be like a male and a female Loki, for instance, if the data set is accurate. All right, let's see. Okay, we want to do like a year established. So this will be this first one here. All right. And then similar to before, we don't want to have a bin on that. And I don't want it to have. I wonder if we can actually change. I'll have to think about that. I'm not sure how we would do that. I need to pull those commas out. All right, I'm going to remove that for now. Let's give this a title. Character table view. And this one I am going to give a parameter for the character that we want to view. Because this is going to be sort of interesting because there's going to be multiple submissions for some of the characters. And what we'll want to do here is go to character name and then put the parameter as well. And so that we have a couple Colossuses in play. All right. That'll be our table view. Bring this over to the side here. Cool. Save this. And we'll add one more chart. And this one we're going to do a combo. And in this combo, we're going to actually be pulling the first appearances. So we'll do a little bit of like a time enabled number here. So like let's go first appearance We'll do auto on the bin. We'll do this. Let's do it by alignment. This will be sort of interesting. Or alignment. Yeah, let's do alignment. Let's do alignment. And then this will do number of records. Let's go no on the nulls. See, these are in the future. I remember I ran into this before as well. And I think it was when we had, we didn't remove the standalone years. So in the table, there was some standalone years. So let's see. Let me add a filter. And let's go first appearance. Before today. Okay, that's better. All right, and then let's change this from a bar to a line. I'm actually going to pull this off for alignment. We'll just do straight up. There are a lot of breaks though. What if we do year? Better. Okay, much better. All right, we'll do year on that, which is good. Let's see what that looks like if we pull alignment back. Nope. I like how it looks like this. Perfect. And then let's also right here do character name. That's going to make it look funky. Let's just hold that for right now. And we'll do, and we'll pull this right there and apply. And let's pull this across here. And save. Okay. Now let's take a look at a couple things. So we have our characters. Let me actually look. Do we have a Loki in here? We do have a Loki. See, they only have the male Loki. So I know that this isn't fully realized, this data set. But nonetheless, this is really cool. And I think there's some other things that we could do with this now that we've played around with it a little bit more. And because there was some clear differences between what we did today and what we did last week. Like when we actually pulled everything together, we were able to like do some nice filtering here with the names, but I think we lost some of the data fidelity between using the individual table and the multiple tables, which is I mean, it's just good to know. I think it's a fun exercise. I wonder if there is there's probably some other filtering that we could do here that would be sort of interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
So when we apply the filter now, what chart does every chart get affected by it?
No, right? Because yeah, these three right here are not. And maybe we should just go ahead and do that real quick.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We can add.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for image to catch up to speed with.
Yes. Yeah. So let's do. Character name, and then we'll do that here as well. Apply. We could do that here. So this is, yeah, we didn't do this the first time. I wanted to see what it looked like, because we didn't do this last week either. We didn't add these parameters to. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Let's see. So it actually has Colossus or Cyclops has appeared as neutral, bad, and good.
Yes. I think it might be from that one time where he was getting like mind control. No.
That is perhaps the case. All right, let's see.
I remember that happened to a bunch of X-Men.
And let's add this here. All right. See, I think this chart loses something when you add that to it, because everything gets pulled directly towards the like the point where the XY axis meet each other.
I see what happened.
Whereas like if we remove this real quick, we get a better understanding of what the broader view looks like. I'm gonna leave this one for right now. So like if now in this one we could go like, okay, show me like what the identity by appearances are for everything from like 79 to 2000. See, but it does affect these other charts. So that'll be something that we can work out like before we go public with this one.
Yeah,
it'd be sort of cool. Because I think what we did with the character comparison is like just rock solid.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's really good.
Yeah, I think what we'll want to do is like add more superpowers to the superpower matrix.
Mm-hmm.
But this is pretty cool. I think we might even for this one do like a really simple, like maybe just an issue lookup. You know what I mean? And maybe take away some of these other things. Like I think like not doing the big inner join that we had before would probably help.
Mm-hmm.
And just roll with the individual one. So, all right. Well, I think what we're gonna do, folks, we're gonna close this one out here today. This was a really fun build. I actually learned quite a bit about the parameters today, and them like some of the filtering and how because like you also want to like think about how you're gonna use them before you don't want to just add them to everything, right? Because like as we saw today, sometimes that's not the best. That's not the best way to go about it, but I think this is really nice. All right, so like we talked about on Wednesday, we're going to be doing these live streams every Wednesday and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Please, each week we'll post on socials what our sort of topic is gonna be for the week. Sometimes we might have two topics, one for Wednesday, one for Friday. If we're doing big Let's Builds, we're probably going to do the same topic for the entire week. So if you kind of join us on Wednesday and Friday to have us go through the entire build. But we'll do some demos. We're going to bring on guests to talk about some technical topics and just have a good time. These are going to be fun. So I appreciate you all joining today. And we will see you next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Thanks for joining. Peace.